think knowing yourself deeply is a superpower. What if it's slowly destroying you? Most people spend their entire lives running from self-awareness. They avoid mirrors, not the physical ones, but the psychological ones. They distract themselves, they numb themselves, they never look inward. And you? You did the opposite. You studied yourself, you analyzed your patterns, you caught yourself in the middle of emotions and named them. You read books, watched videos, went to therapy, did the inner work. You became deeply, painfully self-aware, and somewhere along the way, something went wrong. You feel it, don't you? That quiet exhaustion, that constant mental noise, that feeling of being trapped inside your own head. That's not growth. That's the dark side no one talks about. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you will explain a lot about why you feel the way you feel and why being too aware might be the very thing holding you back. Point 1. The paralysis of infinite self-analysis. Here's something disturbing. The more you understand yourself, the harder it becomes to act. There's a psychological phenomenon called analysis paralysis, but self-aware people experience a deeper, darker version of it. You don't just overthink decisions, you overthink yourself making decisions. You catch yourself mid-conversation thinking, why did I say that? Was that ego? Was that insecurity? Was that a trauma response? And by the time you finished analyzing the moment is already gone. Normal people just live, they speak, they act, they move forward. But you're standing backstage watching yourself perform, critiquing every word in real time. That's not consciousness, that's a prison. Point 2. You become the villain of your own story. Here's the twist that most self-help channels will never tell you. Self-awareness, taken too far, doesn't make you kinder to yourself, it makes you brutal. You start seeing your flaws with surgical precision, your selfishness, your contradictions, the moments you weren't who you wanted to be. And because you're aware, you can't blame ignorance. You can't say, I didn't know better. You knew, and you still did it. That awareness becomes a weapon you use against yourself. Other people forgive themselves easily, not because they're strong, but because they're not watching themselves as closely as you watch yourself. They let things go, they file them, replay them at 3 a.m. The irony? The most self-aware people often carry the heaviest guilt. Point 3. You stop trusting your own emotions. Think about the last time you felt genuinely happy, angry, or excited, and didn't immediately question it. Hard to remember, right? That's because hyper self-awareness creates something psychologists call emotional metacognition, the habit of observing your feelings instead of feeling that. You feel sad, and instead of crying, you think, is this real sadness or am I just tired? Is this grief or just a chemical reaction? Am I performing this emotion or actually experiencing it? You've become a scientist studying your own soul, and scientists don't cry in the lab. The result? Emotional numbness, disconnection, a strange loneliness where you're surrounded by people but feel like you're watching life through glass, present in body, absent in experience. Point 4. You repel the people you want most. This one stings. Self-aware people, especially those who've done deep psychological work, often unknowingly intimidate others, not through arrogance, through depth. You've processed things most people haven't even admitted to themselves. You see patterns in conversations. You notice when someone is deflecting, projecting, or lying to themselves. And sometimes, without meaning to, you reflect that back to them. People don't like mirrors, so they pull away. They call you too intense. They say you overthink everything, and you watch the connection dissolve while perfectly understanding exactly why it's happening, which somehow makes it hurt even more. Your awareness doesn't protect you from loss. It just gives you a front row seat to it. Point 5. Your identity becomes fluid and terrifying. Here's where it gets philosophically dark. The deeper you go into self-awareness, the more you realize there is no fixed you. You're different in different rooms. You change based on who's watching. The version of you that exists alone at midnight is a stranger to the version of you at a family dinner. Normal people never notice this. They move through life with a stable, comfortable illusion of a consistent self. But you've seen behind the curtain, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Who are you really? Strip away the roles, the habits, the masks you've mapped and cataloged. What's left? That question for the deeply self-aware doesn't feel philosophical. It feels like standing at the edge of something with no bottom. Point 6. You become addicted to improvement, never to living. Self-improvement was supposed to help you become better so you could live better, but something flipped. The self-improvement became the life. You're always in progress, always almost there, always one more insight, one more breakthrough, one more layer of understanding away from finally being okay. But okay never comes, because the self-aware mind always finds something new to fix, a new blind spot, a new pattern, a new shadow to drag into the light. And while you're busy excavating your inner world, life, messy, imperfect, beautiful, unrepeatable life, passes by outside. You are so focused on becoming, you forgot to simply be. Stop for a second. I want you to sit with this. You started this journey of knowing yourself, because somewhere, deep down, you believed that understanding yourself would finally make things feel okay, that clarity would bring peace, that awareness would bring freedom. But instead, you feel more tangled, not less, more critical, not more compassionate, more isolated, not more connected. And here's the painful truth, one that most people in your position have never had the courage to face. Awareness without acceptance is just suffering with a better vocabulary. You've built a magnificent map of yourself, every wound, every pattern, every contradiction charted and labeled. But you forgot that a map is not the territory. You are not the analysis of yourself. You are the one doing the analyzing. And that distinction is where most deeply self-aware people get permanently lost. Self-awareness is not the destination. It was always supposed to be the door. The tragedy of the hyper-self-aware isn't that they know too much, it's that they stopped somewhere between the knowing and the living and started calling that space growth. The people who seem the most at peace, they're not unaware. They've simply made a choice, a quiet, radical choice, to stop narrating their lives and start inhabiting them. They feel the feeling without filing a report on it. They act without auditing the action. They exist without needing to explain themselves, even to themselves. That is not ignorance. That is a different kind of mastery. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Not to answer it right now, just to carry it. If you already know everything you know about yourself and you're still not free, what exactly are you still waiting to understand?